Do you feel good at what you do, but the money you're making in your online business doesn't match? Have you looked at other people online and thought to yourself, I'm smarter than that person. How come they seem to be crushing it online? Well, in this video, I'm going to reveal to you how your people pleasing tendencies are showing up inside of your business and hurting your profits without you even realizing it. But we first have to understand that we're on the same page about what people pleasing is. People pleasing is prioritizing the needs of others over your own, oftentimes at the expense of your well being. Now, that is the dictionary definition. What I added was not just at the expense of your well being, but at the expense of your values. So let's say that you really value your time, which I absolutely hope that you do. And because you value your time, you no longer spend it doing certain things. But you have a friend who invites you out to a bar and says, hey, let's go grab a couple drinks. But because you're living your life differently, because you value your time differently, that's not an activity that you want to do anymore. So in order to not make that person feel bad by declining the invitation and maybe still wanting to have a connection, you end up saying yes, but you really wanted to say no. Well, here's the thing. That was against your values. And so we often take a look at people pleasing and saying, well, I'm doing this to not make the other person feel some kind of way. But I challenge that because the truth is, people pleasing is to protect you from feeling some kind of way. And I'm not coming for you. This is something that I had struggled with for a really long time. And when I understood how it was showing up in my business and it was spilling over from my personal life into my business, things started to change for me. So I'm going to share how this all looks in our personal life and how it spills over into our business. And so people pleasing is about protecting ourselves from feeling some kind of way. Maybe we don't want to feel rejected. We don't want anybody to criticize us. We don't want to not be liked. We don't want to not be loved. We desire to feel accepted. So if we feel as though by saying no, we're going to not feel accepted, then guess what? We're going to go. And so, why is this saying? Let me charge my computer. Huh? Well, that's the interesting thing about going live on YouTube is that I had to charge my computer. I thought it was plugged in. But anyways, we are really trying to protect ourselves from feeling a certain kind of way. And so it's a protection mechanism. And if you believe that you're people pleasing in your personal life, but you're not in your business, that's not true. Because people pleasing becomes a mechanism. Your brain and body start to operate that way. And now you're doing it in your personal life and inside of your business. And so this isn't just to please the other person. It's actually to please ourselves, but it's viewed oftentimes as pleasing the other person when in reality, we don't want to feel some kind of way. And so we make ourselves think that we're pleasing the other person by taking the action that we're taking, whether it's saying yes when we really desire to say no, it's to protect ourselves. And so if you hold back from speaking up, if you don't stick to your standards, if you don't stick to your boundaries, if you say yes when you really mean no, if you have this feeling over your throat, over your chest that sometimes just feels so tight, that is often how people pleasing presents. We desire to not feel these things. And so we're often blocking it or trying to push against it, but really we end up hurting ourselves. So the person that we're really trying to make happy in people pleasing is ourselves. And we always view it as if we're trying to make the other person happy, and that just ain't true. So I'm going to share with you one of the ways that I actually started to release myself from people pleasing, because this changed the game for me when I really understood how this was affecting me. And one of the proverbs that gave me strength was Proverbs 29:25. It says, "The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. We have to understand what the word snare means. Snare is a trap. It is destruction through deception. And the way that we are deceiving ourselves when you people please is by believing that this human that we believe we're trying to please outside of ourselves has the authority over us to make us feel some kind of way, to make us feel rejected, to make us feel not accepted, to make us not feel like we belong. We've given authority to another human being to make us feel that way. And so when I read this, I said, anytime we people please, we are giving ourselves a trap. We are deceiving ourselves. Ultimately, we desire to feel safe. But people pleasing is the exact opposite of safety. It is the trap. It makes us feel unsafe. We don't recognize it at the time because we've been doing this for so long that people pleasing feels like safety. But the truth is, it's not. It's the exact opposite of safety. And so when I read this, I said, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. So we desire to feel safe. So that means that we have to trust the Lord more than we trust man, more than we desire to even please ourselves. One of the phrases that shifted things for me was, we are here to please God and serve people. And oftentimes we are trying to just please people and please ourselves. And it never works that way. I want you to replay some of the times in your life where you've pleased people, you've pleased yourself, and things didn't work out. It backfired. You really set yourself up for a trap. And so when you ultimately desire this sense of safety, you're only going to ever find it with God. Proverbs 29:25. So whatever you give authority to is who you give the authority to change your behavior and change how you operate. So if I'm giving the authority to God and I'm pleasing God, that means he has the authority to change my behavior. If I'm giving the authority to humans, then that means they have the authority to change my behavior. It never works out on this end, right? And so people pleasing becomes this mechanism. And when we start doing it in our business, you give other people the authority to kill your dreams. Literally kill your dreams. So there are three main areas of your business that you would be people pleasing in. That's your audience. It's who you attract. It's your offers, what you sell. And it's also in your sales system, which is how you sell it. And so I'm going to break down these three main areas. And then I'm also going to share how I really got myself to overcome people pleasing. And here's the thing. I don't want to say it doesn't ever leave you, but you will become aware of it. And then you can change your behavior. So the feeling might still be there, but the behavior can change. And that's the most important part. Don't feel as though you won't feel that way. It's okay to feel that way. It's the behavior that we need to change. That's what really matters. So we're going to talk about audience attraction, and you attract an audience through sharing your message. So whether you are writing blogs or you're creating reels, you got videos, maybe you've got a YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. However it is you're getting your message out there, when you are people pleasing, you will share a message so that you don't get criticized. You will share a message so that you are accepted, so that you are liked. You're going to share your message in a way that you don't get attacked, that you don't feel any of those icky feelings of rejection or not being liked or not being welcomed. You're going to protect yourself from that. That means that you have to speak in a way that you don't invite criticism. But if you were in a crowd and someone said, "Hey, Julie," and your name was Julie, all the Julies would turn. If someone said, "Hey, Mike," and that's not your name, you're not going to turn. Someone said, "Hey, Siobhan," well, there's not a lot of Siobhans, but you get my point. If someone said, "Hey, Siobhan," all the Siobhans would turn. When you speak in your message, it's exactly like that. How you speak is calling someone by name. So if in your message, in your mind, you are catering so that you are liked by those that might criticize you. You're actually calling their name. That means that you are building an audience of those kinds of people, or you're not building any audience at all because your actual people can't hear you because you're not calling them by name. You're more focused on protecting yourself from not being liked, not being rejected, someone saying you're wrong, someone poking a hole in the things that you're sharing. And if that's what you're doing, you're not building an audience, or you're building the wrong kind of audience. This is why the message around be authentic is so big right now, because being authentic has more to do with what you need to unlearn rather than learn. It's weird. You don't learn to be authentic. You actually have to unlearn all of these mechanisms and start to change your behavior to something that's true, because people pleasing is not authentic. It's not authentic. And so when you can recognize that this is showing up, when you are sharing your message, now when you go to write or you go to speak, you can be conscious that you don't put a filter on it, that you're not trying to please those people over there and protect yourself. So you get to remove that filter. And when you remove that filter, now you're going to be attracting the audience that you truly desire to attract. All right, so let's talk about offers. This is what you sell. So this is your package knowledge or expertise, however you want to put it online, whether it's program, courses, books, it's speaking, it's something. It's just an offer. An offer is something that provides value and a solution for someone that they pay for. Okay. Well, there are free offers as well. Like you could have a free PDF that helps somebody. You can have a free ebook. You could have a paid book. So there are free and paid offers. So let me just say that there are both, but that's not the point of this video. Offers, something that you put out there online, either free or paid, that someone can get from you to solve a problem. Okay. Let's say you're working with a coach or a consultant and they tell you, hey, you should sell this. That doesn't mean that they're wrong, because they have more expertise. Hopefully you're working with somebody that has more expertise and has been where you want to be. But if you don't ever check in with yourself for your level of alignment, now you're pleasing, because you're not allowing your authenticity to shine through. You're not allowing your creativity to shine through. And you're believing that the only way to make money is to sell the thing they told you to sell, or to do it the way they told you to do it. And if that's the case, you're pleasing. And you're protecting yourself from potentially not failing because you think your way isn't the best way. But when you're working with a good coach, you're actually going to uncover your creativity, uncover your authenticity, and infuse it into your offers, into the things that you want to sell. And when you are infusing those parts of you and you're understanding, okay, this is what the end package should look like, this is how it matches the market, make sure that you're not stifling the parts of you that need to come through. Because if you're selling something that you don't feel confident in or you're not convicted in, you're not going to sell. Because a key element to sales is confidence and conviction. Without confidence and conviction, you can't sell. Because essentially, when you have that kind of belief, that confidence and that conviction, it transfers to the audience in which you are selling to. But if you don't believe and you're not confident and you're not convicted, guess what you're transferring? Lack of confidence, lack of conviction, and lack of trust. So this is why it's so important for us to understand what it is we sell and feel really good about it and make sure it represents us, not someone else, not what someone told you to do. And yes, I get the roles of coaches and consultants. I am one. This is what I help my clients do. But this is about helping the client uncover these parts of themselves so it's infused, so that when they show up to sell, it feels like them. I shouldn't feel more confident in this thing than they do. Oftentimes, yes, I will feel more confident because I'm helping them to cultivate belief and helping them cultivate their level of confidence. But I hurt them by just saying, here, sell what I think is best. There are obviously knowledge base that I have and I know is going to work inside of the market, but it's never at the expense of how my client wants to show up creatively or how my client wants to show up authentically. I have to make sure that they have a level of confidence and conviction so that they go to market to sell, because I understand the element that transfers is what they believe. I hope this is making sense. I really hope that this is landing. It's an interesting and intricate nuance that happens in business, and I see it all the time. This is why people feel like they're not making any progress. They're trying really hard. They're really good at what they do, but they're trying to fit it into this industry norm, and it's not working. And so this also will affect your sales. And so this is the third component of how your people-pleasing tendencies will show up, is in your sales. So either you will emotionally prepare for the sale even before you realize, does this person even want what I have? Does this person even qualify to get the best benefit from what it is I sell? But you're emotionally prepared for the sale because you need to feel validated. You need to get that sale so you feel good about you. So you become emotionally prepared to please yourself, not to serve the other person. This also can show up in your price points. Because if you have this feeling like, well, I don't want anyone to reject me or say no to me because my price is too high, well, guess what? You're going to lowball your prices. And if something is a lower price, it doesn't mean more people buy it. It takes the exact same kind of effort and energy to sell something at a higher price than it does a lower price. It is the value transfer. Because if you know deep down that what you're selling should be priced higher, but you're people pleasing to protect yourself because you don't want to be rejected by somebody saying no because your price is too high. If you don't want to feel rejected and you lower your price, that's hard to sell. Even though it's a lower price, even though you might believe in it, what you don't believe in is the price point, because you're like, this thing should sell so much higher. But you're trying to protect yourself from an entire other rejection. So can you see how this starts to really get dicey inside of your business and all of the ways that you are people pleasing? So audience, offers, and sales, those are the three main ways. And obviously there are some like smaller steps in between that. I think I will cover some of that in some other videos, go into more detail about it. But I want to help you overcome this. How do you start to overcome people pleasing? I want to help you create the change. So I'm going to go back to Proverbs 29, but we're going to start with Proverbs 29:1. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. I had to read this a couple times. And it's interesting. I was sharing with a friend over the weekend, and I said, I'm excited to go live on YouTube because I'm going to be talking about people pleasing and all the ways that it shows up. And I'm going to be talking about Proverbs 29:25. And she said, I was just reading Proverbs 29. And she said, Proverbs 29:1 really stung. And I said, how interesting is that? Because this is actually how we start to create change. So full circle, this is also how you know when you're surrounded by good people, the ideas just bounce off of each other. So Proverbs 29:1, reproved means to be corrected. So he that being often reproved, he that is often corrected, harden his neck. Hardeneth means to make hard, a stiff neck, stubborn, something that doesn't move. So if you are being corrected, because here's the thing, God will speak to you through your intuition. He speaks in many other ways too, but one of the ways is through your intuition. And you know when something isn't right. You know when you need to say no, but you're saying yes. But if you keep doing that over and over and over again, and he continues to correct you, but you stiffen your neck, you become stubborn. Listen to this. Shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. Scary. Scary. Without remedy. That gives me some chills because we often need to do something, get ourselves in some deep doo-doo in order for us to change. Why is that? Why does it need to be so extreme to cause us to change? That's just human behavior. That's human nature to do that, right? But if we're living from the word, then we actually start to understand that we are safe with him, right? Going back to Proverbs 29:25, we are safe with him. But following the human, following the flesh is always a trap. And so when you become aware of the ways that you are consistently being corrected, but you don't listen, you might likely find yourself in a situation without remedy. And so we need to start not only being aware of how this is showing up in our personal life, we need to be aware of how this is showing up inside of our business. And I want you to consider the reason you haven't changed, the reason you haven't put yourself first. What are the feelings that you are running away from? What are the feelings that you are protecting yourself from? Because if you don't know what you're protecting yourself from, it's really difficult to change. And so I like to take a moment always. If I feel that feeling coming up within me, I pause. I say, hey, I can't respond right now. Don't respond in the emotion by saying yes, by even saying no. Just say, I just need a moment. I'll respond to you soon. I'll get back to you. Put some distance between you and that decision for a second and just see what's coming up. And then you can go back and you can say no to that person, or you can make a different decision, whatever you might need to make a decision in. And so give yourself the space to be able to do that. But you don't have to wait for something bad to happen in order for you to create change. Once we start finding safety with God, we no longer need any safety in man. We didn't need it to begin with, but that's often where we look first. Finding safety in God means that he has the authority to change our behavior, which means that there's no more people pleasing, because you're here to please him and not people. You're here to serve people, but please God. It changes your actions. It changes how you show up. It changes how you even perceive the situation. And you don't need to protect yourself from those things because you are safe with God. So the 3 things you want to do is you want to recognize the people-pleasing moment. You want to ask yourself why that's coming up. And then lastly, you want to respond accordingly. And what starts to happen over time is you don't need any space. You don't need to say, hey, give me a second. Hey, I'll respond soon. You don't need to say any of that. It just happens where you're like, no, I'm not doing that. That's not how I spend my time. So that's what I got for you today on people pleasing and the areas that it's showing up inside of your business. I trust that this video serves you, and I will see you in the next one. Share with somebody who you know would find benefit. Talk to you soon.